Okay.
Here we
There's
go.
somebody popping up.
Here we go. Is Erok there?
Erok is waiting to connect for Erok.
Let's see.
There's Erok at the bottom. Now we're just waiting on you, Hebot, to pop in.
I'm here. I'm mixing right now.
All right, just keep a lookout. I'm sending you an invite. How do we hear? So Pro Throw, if you back up in here, let us know how we sound, baby. He's saying, yes, sir. Yes, sir. He said he can hear all three. That's it. Start it up, baby.
Yeah?
Yep.
All right, there we go. There we go.
All right, we in here. We in the building.
Okay. There we go. Oh. Yes. We're back, ladies and gentlemen.
Turn your volume. Turn your volume.
Up and down.
Whatever that is in the background, turn it down.
Yeah, that's some purpose. That's deliberate, baby. Guys, welcome back.
Okay.
Welcome back. We're back again. Another exciting episode, hopefully, of We Got NeXt. And with my co-host, obviously, as you know, the new Legal. And joining us today is going to be...
Day.
And joining us today is going to be the one and only ErokX. Really excited. All day. We got Erok, say what's up. Welcome for joining us, my brother.
Hey, what's going on, man? It's ErokX, the Don King of Xbox, the hype man for the Xbox brand. I'm kind of exhausted right now because them setting up this podcast was like NASA sending the first rocket into space. But they did it so. Oh my God!
It's the growing pains. It's the growing pains. That's
somebody
right.
flew into the sun. Like, oh my God!
It's the growing pains. Yeah, brother. Welcome, and I'm glad you were able to make it. Really appreciate it, like always, having you stop by and rock out with us, because you family anyway. Everything's good. Yeah, listen, so, yeah, guys, we're back, and this is my new show that I'm trying to bring upon everyone here on Mixer. We're going to rock out every week, as if it's still planned. And for those of you who tuned in to the first episode last week, which was kind of a premiere episode, trying to test the waters, I want to apologize because I didn't realize that my audio on the Forza game was a little bit way too loud, and when I finally did realize it and was able to turn it down, it was kind of way in the actual broadcast. So I apologize for that. We tried to fix all that. That's why it took us as long as it took to get a rocket up in NASA, like my boy Erok just said. But, you know, it's all part of the growing pains, right? And for you guys that were there or couldn't really hear, basically the title of the show is We Got NeXt, because it's an old saying that was for any root gamer like us that started gaming in the arcades would know. It was a saying that we said.
I'm not that old.
Okay. Excuse me. That was said whenever we wanted to take turns in the arcade. We put our quarters up in the marquee, and whether you were playing co-op or single player, we said, I got NeXt. But since this show is a podcast with more than one person, we decided to call it We Got NeXt. As it's our time to represent, it's our time to grow, and it's our time to take our spot where we rightfully belong for a very long time. Thank you for joining us, So Pro Do. Glad to have you here. So that was basically the whole idea over the actual title of the show. And big shout outs to Aleem Mosley, because Aleem Mosley did hook us up with the banner. So big shout outs to him, and he's family and part of the DX mansion, or with the DX mansion, right? And also big shout outs to the Graphic God, where he hooked me up with a wonderful new gamer pick, or avatar pick, if you will, for all my venues, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Mixer. I'm also part of, I got some merch in repbubble.com if you guys want to have Hebot to memorabilia to show off, like that's your boy. Hey, more than welcome. It means a lot to me. I know that you don't have to, but if you do, it's greatly appreciated, because it's going to give me promotion and get my brand out there more, which is the plan, right? So yeah, guys, today's topic, or not really topic because it's
Oh,
a lot
hold
of.
on, Ebot. Hold on, Ebot. I need an introduction. Hold
Sorry,
on, hold on, Ebot.
Okay. There you
Yo,
go.
I want to say also, shout outs to Lim Mosey for the new game of pick as well. Check him out, man. He's a great a graphic designer, serious graphic designer, up and coming. Put green green studio art. I mean Green Art Studios.
Green Art
Green
Studios.
Art
That's right.
Studios. And if I got that right, and if I got that wrong, please correct me next time. Mosey, nothing personal, man. I just want to get you out there. But I'll definitely leave a description of it if I got that wrong. But I
Right.
think Hebot corrected me too. I think I'm right. So
No, you're right.
Green Art
Green Art
Green
Studios.
Studios. Yeah, Green Art Studios.
You're
Okay,
right.
that's it.
You're right.
So yeah, man, he's been doing a lot of work for me, and I wanted to give him a shout out to as well.
That's right.
And then I also want to say to our guests, y'all know he's a man of no introduction, but it's the mighty Erok, and this Hebot, and this is what's special to me. This is my first ever talk show with him, man. You know, so I got a lot of respect for my comrade, and he knows that. You know, I'm standing in here in the midst of two legends in their own right, you know, as far as root games. So I'm glad to know these guys.
Stop
And
it.
let's
You're
get this
being
We
too
Got
nice.
NeXt, man. I'm being too
Yeah,
nice.
We Got NeXt.
Let's get this going, man, because I want to hear my boy. I want to hear my boy go in. I want to hear my dudes go in.
I'm gonna try. One more thing too that I want to share with you guys is one of the reasons why we decided to actually be on Mixer, because again I tried to explain it last week in the episode, but it didn't pan out because of the audio. Like I said, try to start a show. Been really around that long, but there's always flooded with gamers on Xbox or on Windows, right? This is a place of where you can reach out to the core audience, which is the gamers itself, and that's what the whole idea was. And the beauty of it is we co-stream like we're doing now. Hopefully you guys are seeing it on your end, and you'll see my point of view, our guest point of view, or New Legal's point of view. And the best thing about it is at the end of the day, if we want to upload it to our YouTube channels, for those who follow us only on YouTube and don't really know that we're on Mixer, they can go there and also see us there later because we can upload it.
We're changing the game, baby.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, we're trying to change the game. So as you guys know, you know, we had some really interesting news come upon us in the beginning of this week and throughout the week. And the topic that I wanted to touch, and it's not really a topic, we're talking about gaming. I don't want to call it topics because it sounds too scripted. I want to talk about what gaming and what's going on in the gaming scene, right? Not really the community, because the community is not as close and together as it should be, or on the same point, or on the same, you know, looking eye to eye, right? There's a big danger that's coming upon in gaming right now, and that danger is the culture, and the gaming culture is starting to die in many ways, because any little type of venue that we've had that's important to us, that we helped build and construct since the 70s, early 80s till now, right? When we were playing Pong in a laundromat, or when we were playing Atari for the very first time, when gaming crashed, to the scene in the arcade, where the arcade is really where social media, or social gaming, actually started. We would gather up together, all our friends, all our boys, all together, and we'd have a great time. We'd trade baseball cards. We'd talk about girls. We'll talk about.
That's right.
We'll eat some snacks right after school. We'll talk about homework, and we'll play games until 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and then go home and have our parents killing us for wasting all our money that they gave us for lunch, and we didn't even buy lunch because we try to be slick and waste it on the machine.
That's right.
And only
That's
people
right.
that are root gamers that know that life, like me, Erok, and the New Legal, understand this lingo. This is real lingo. This is not we're talking the talk and we don't walk the walk. We can talk the talk and we also can walk the walk. You know, so it's a very sad state that gaming is in right now. Very delicate state, very fine line. Because now we have a big dilemma, and this dilemma started with Nintendo, right? But we know that Nintendo was very vocal about it. They basically said we can't make it to an E3 venue, right? Because we have a lot of money constraints and issues at the moment, and we need to rebuild and get back to a place where we feel comfortable and that we can afford to be back at E3. Now, E3 we know is basically the Super Bowl of video games. There's no other way to describe it appropriately, right?
Right.
And now
Right.
the biggest Goliath, right, in perspective wise in the gaming scene, is not making it after 21 or 22 years for the first time, which is Sony, right? And it's
Right.
okay because things happen, right? But my biggest concern is that what I'm seeing is that people are celebrating this like it's a good thing. E3 is irrelevant. We don't really need it. Sony could do this stuff on their own. Sony don't need to be
Talk to him.
wasting money on this. But you're missing the point. The audience, the gamers,
Talk to
are
him.
missing the point. It's not about them being there because it's trying to be a more of a business aspect, right? Like people are trying to make it sound like when Sony does a show, it's only for Sony. When Xbox does a show, it's only for Xbox. When Nintendo does a show, it's only for Nintendo. When E3 comes around, it's for gaming. It's for the culture of gaming. It's everything. And that's what... And
It's the Pentecost. It's the Pentecost of the gaming industry.
Absolutely.
It's nothing new. It's like the Olympics. It's been like the day of harvest. These things is ancient. The world has always been able to put aside the differences and come together for an event. The world has been
That's
doing
right.
that since the beginning of time. So
That's right.
E3 is the day of Pentecost for gaming. Where are you when you
That's
miss
right.
out? Where
That's
are
right.
you?
That's right.
That's the question. Where
That's
are
right.
you?
And here's the thing, people, that you gotta have to understand. Any real gamer like us here on this panel today knows and understands that without E3, this gaming culture or hobby would have never been so mass marketed the way it is today. It wouldn't have been as big as it is today because E3 is the exposure for all the creators, all the creativity, and everything that's coming down the road in the future. Whether it's 1 year, 2 years apart, it doesn't matter. The significance of E3 is if we lose E3, gaming is basically going to come to a point where it might go into a crash again, and it might become just plain irrelevant. And the only thing that would matter is if you follow a certain distinct company. It's not going to be a cohesive thing, which is what it is right now. Gaming is very social. So for anyone to say that that's not important or not an important venue, you're really not thinking like a gamer and from the heart and love the gaming industry the way you should. So, guys, you heard what I had to say. Okay, I know you guys are from my era as well, and even further. You have your own personal feelings and personal thoughts, and I'm pretty sure you're going to elaborate very well. So what I want to do is, because Erok joined us today, Erok, I'm going to give you the floor, and you tell me, my brother, what do you feel about this announcement, and how do you look at it? Do you agree with what I'm saying, or understand where I'm coming from, or do you have a whole total different perspective yourself and thought that you can share with us that maybe we could be like, okay, that kind of makes sense. So, please, Erok, elaborate, my friend.
Hey, first thing first, I want to thank the new legal for that wonderful introduction, man. It means a lot. I'm glad to finally chat with you, brother, because you've been holding it down on Facebook over at the DX Mansion. You've been holding it down for years, man, keeping the Xbox community going, keeping the Xbox brothers strong, and we appreciate you, man. We appreciate you, man, and a lot of thanks for the work in which you and Heba do. So something like this show y'all doing here on Mixer needed to be done. Shout out to all of our brothers out there, man. Shout out to Mr. 100. Shout out to Kaleidoscope. Shout out to everybody from the DirectX show, minus the fraud. Shout out to my partners, my brothers from across the pond on the Dragon X podcast. Shout out to the Welsh Gamer. Shout out to Microboxer X. Shout out to really all of our Xbox family.
That's right.
That's
And
right.
I'm gonna get to Hebot's question for a minute, but the reason why this show needed to be done, and the reason why that introduction that the new legal gave was so eloquent and beautiful, I believe from the heart, is because I've been doing YouTube since 2015, man, and really a lot of people that I run into, they're not about gaming. They're not about gaming. They're about getting their YouTube channels over. They're about clicks. And over the last couple of years, we found out who the frauds are, and we found out who's really about this gaming life. I got nothing against anybody that's out there getting a hustle on. That's why I got into YouTube. I got into YouTube to make money, but I'm not going to make money at the expense of my integrity. I'm not going to make money at the expense of being a fraud. If I tell you I've been gaming since the Atari 2600, you better believe it, man. I'm 49 years old, okay?
That's right.
I go back to when you bought the Atari 2600 and you actually bought your copy of Pac-Man, but the Atari came with one free game, Combat.
That's right.
And that's
We're
what
not buying
rocking.
minis. We're not buying mini versions of them.
Yeah.
We had the real version.
Yeah. So we go back to the ColecoVision, back when Donkey Kong launched with that console, and you had to have a color TV to play ColecoVision. I mean, we've been there, man. The crash of 1983. After that, I stopped gaming.
Right.
Hebot continued.
Right.
I didn't rejoin gaming again until 1993. Sega Genesis, Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
So we've been down this road, man, and we were all PlayStation guys and Sega guys especially, and we finally migrated to Xbox because gaming is a journey. Yeah. Gaming ain't about being a slave to a brand. It's about a journey. And speaking of which, we cannot continue this journey if E3 becomes irrelevant. So people could try to downplay E3 all of a sudden and try to say, well, E3 ain't important anymore. Let me tell you something, man. Long before YouTube and long before any of us really had an idea what this gaming space was, we just bought the games, we bought the consoles, we consumed the content because we was gamers and we loved it. We really didn't understand the significance of the Electronic Games Expo. We had no idea about what it really was, which has been going on for decades. It was a chance for manufacturers and publishers to show off not just their new hardware, but to show off their new software. And that show was important, man. Like Dorian said, like Hepa said, it was like the Super Bowl, man. E3 is where Trip Hawkins unveiled 3DO. E3 is where we got our first glimpse of the Saturn. E3 is where we got our first glimpse of the Dreamcast. Like, that event has always been like the epicenter of where gaming was going. Now, I haven't been a huge fan of E3 the last couple of years. I never liked publishers and manufacturers showing us games we're not going to play till 7 years from now, but it may not come out at all. Right. Xbox, to their credit, has been pretty consistent with saying, if we show you something in 2017, it's going to come out in 2018 or 19, unless it's canceled. That's just a part of how this gaming business is. But Sony missing E3 this year is huge, if they really are missing E3, because they're supposed to be the platform leader. They supposed to be the bee's knees. Yes. They supposed to be the dog's bollocks.
Yes.
What are you doing missing E3? So, like, either they didn't have anything to bring at E3, or they're planning on doing their own separate show. Look, we can't have all of these platform holders doing their own separate show. Yep. You need to show us what you got at E3. The people that come to that arena in LA to buy tickets, like Mr. 100, K Mega, they was at E3 last year, Yep. I mean, I wish E3 would get it together and realize that we game here on the East Coast.
That's right.
Or that y'all game down there in Texas and had a damn show someplace else. Bring that motherfucker to the Toyota Stadium or the Toyota Center for Dorian.
Or the
bring that thing over here to Philly to the convention center. Or bring it up to I could drive to Manhattan. You know what I mean? So hook us up. But E3 is significant, and the fact that Sony isn't going to be there next year is shocking. It's huge news. But all of a sudden, all you're hearing is, well, Sony not going to E3 is brilliant. It might be a good move. How's that a good move? If
Right.
Microsoft wasn't coming to E3, we all know what they'd be saying. Xbox is done. Xbox is finished.
Right.
They're
Right.
getting out of hardware. So I mean, even still in 2018, it still is double standard. It still is spin doctrine and all of this BS going on in the gaming industry. But somebody needs to bring this to light and talk about it. I'm
Right. Right.
glad you guys are doing it. I don't know what's going on over there at Sony. I hear they got a do they got a new CEO over there or something? But something's going down, man. So it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds over the next few weeks and
Well
months,
put.
and see how their audience, the PlayStation Nation, the hostages as I call them, to see how they spin doctor this.
Right, right, right. Well, I mean, I'm glad that you touched up on a lot of things that are basically the little minute details, or not minute, but the little details in between that we're going to talk about hopefully also as we go along. So thank you for that, Erok, and it's always a pleasure to have you and your presence because you never really gotten your dues, and we all know that. The people that know you personally, like myself, and you're the real deal. You don't get the respect that you deserve when you're more real than pretty much 90% of the ones that are out there that do get it. So, and yeah, I'm saying that because I'm part of that as well. For those who think otherwise, no, I know, or we know. Anyway, so to move on, E-Rock, my brother, my hermano as well, my co-host, the one that makes it all happen. It makes me laugh when I'm down and out most of the time, right? What are your thoughts on it? What do you think? What do you feel about this E3 situation where people think it's just not a big deal if Sony doesn't go, that Sony's too big for and gotten so grandiose that they don't need to be there present. I've even heard things like that. And that it doesn't mean it doesn't make a difference, and it's not hurting the industry as a whole, as a place of that we could actually look forward to see the future of gaming on a yearly basis, which has been a tradition for over maybe 30 years now, maybe more. I don't know. What do you think, my brother?
I want to say we're a job not cutting each other out when we talk. I know it's hard. It's hard for me to do it sometimes. I'm old school, and we're talking from the gut, y'all. This is not
Scripted.
this is not scripted at all. We're very passionate with knowledge and understanding, and the reason why we can come from the gut, it's like my brother said today, man. We've lived this culture, so it's nothing for us to just speak on it. So with that, man, I love the way we've so far, and let's end it the same way we started, y'all. Let's keep it going because this is something that I really been wanting to do, man. You can be somebody who can complain about the culture and sit back and fuss and complain about how other people present topics on gaming, or you can be somebody who's gonna get down, invest, and come out and make sure your voice is heard and make sure you put out something real to change that madness.
That's right.
And that today is in effect. All hail to We Got NeXt. All hail to Direct Gaming. All hail to E-Rock Show. These brothers here, man, like you said, they haven't got their due, and it's an honor for me to help put their voices out there because I'm a fan of theirs. What I think about Sony or anybody not coming to E3, and I hear the silly stuff like it doesn't matter, that one is not coming to E3. It's genius that they're not coming to E3, and like what was, and like what was brought up.
Somebody actually said that.
It was said, and the fact that the fact that anybody would think that and think that they could venture on their own stage takes away from the community. And listen up, what I mean by the community means
That's right.
without community, the essence of gaming doesn't exist.
There's no point.
Whether there's a person or not, it has to be two identities there, meaning that it has to be me and it has to be something to interact with. You cannot game without that happening. The essence is being able to share your gaming. Gaming is not has never been something that we hide, that we enclose, that we put away in an experience. It's something that we express, kind of like hip hop. You can't have hip hop without the people. You can't have hip hop without the people. So gaming, you cannot have gaming without the people. So when you think that I should come up with an event and isolate myself to bring out my own ventures and stuff, okay, we're not saying that's bad. We're not saying that's bad because you're expanding aside for your company. We get that, and you want to make things more personal with your fans. We get that, but when that's like that side. It's like going undefeated for a football season. You're 16-0, right? So it's good now. You're selling. The hype is up for your team. People are buying more jerseys. The fans are hyped because all through that season nobody's been able to beat you. Now you got the playoffs, and people expect you to come and play one game. Is all you got, and now you get down to the championship. Now let's just say, what if the Super Bowl never happened? How the heck are you gonna know who the winner is? How the heck do these commercials come out, Heba and E-Rock? There's bigger things that happen on Super Bowl than just the game, right? All kind of events that come in, all kind of celebrities come in, all kind of companies, they bank on this event. That's the same thing with E3. Yeah. It's a time where the companies can come together. They can discuss. Oh man, y'all working on this. Oh, we didn't see this, and we're working on that and this and that. And they talk. They throw out cards. But you know what? The most important thing about it is, it's the fans. E3 is all about these companies giving back to the people who make sure that their companies stay afloat. And that's the consumer.
Yes. Well, too.
And the developers as well. When you tell people that you're not going to be there for the Super Bowl event, first of all, then you're not trying to win. Second, winning doesn't really matter to you on a scale of cultural sense. You notice I said cultural sense. Notice I didn't say nothing about console sales or anything.
Yeah.
You win in a cultural sense when you go to these events. Look, I'm an Xbox fan. I'm an Xbox fanboy. I don't touch the PlayStation. But you know what? PlayStation goes to E3. I can respect that because PlayStation is part of the gaming culture. I embrace everything about the gaming culture. But the difference is I embrace the right way of it. Yeah, I love the console wars when it's done right. Oh yeah, I love the back and forth when it's done right. And I also love when we talk about things and air things out. So yeah, I embrace it all, right? So it doesn't make sense to me to make up the excuses just because we get it, right? Just because you're really upset that your company that you support isn't coming to E3. So now you're gonna say any little thing to make it sound like that's a good thing when you know
it's definitely not gonna help.
Soul, that's stupid.
Yeah, it's definitely not gonna help for you to pretend.
Stupid.
Yeah, to pretend that it doesn't bother. Exactly.
To pretend that way, because if Xbox already doesn't have this. Xbox already doesn't have that. Xbox doesn't do this. Xbox doesn't do that. So what does Xbox do for y'all? Well, Xbox at least comes to E3. Xbox at least puts out three to four timed or exclusive content on my console. Xbox now just moved forward with EXO. So now we're going to have our second show on top of E3, on top of Gamescom. They put an effort in. So while I'm investing in my Xbox, being a fanboy, right? Being a good fanboy that I am, Microsoft makes sure that I can maintain my fanboyism. Why? Because they showcase. It's all I want. All I want them to do is showcase so I can continue to be this great fanboy that I am.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm glad that you touched a lot of good points there because there are a lot of good points that can segue us into other topics that all basically connect and coincide and make a lot of sense. For example, you said the people, right? You said it's about the people.
Right.
And you know that's one of the most realistic things that you can think of when it comes to gaming because there's only really three venues where people can join together from any culture, from any beliefs, from any sexual preference, from any ethnicity.
Right.
Whether you're girl or boy, there's only a couple of venues that you could actually, actually share that connects us the way that gaming does. And one of them, obviously, is gaming. The second one would be sports, right? And the third would be music,
Right.
right? Maybe you could even include movies there to a certain extent.
Right.
But gaming is about the people, like you said. And it's what connects us. It's what makes this whole situation.
What the heck?
What the hell is that noise?
It's
Daggone
what,
blower, man. What the heck is going
It-
on here?
it's,
All right, go ahead.
It's what makes all of us connect with this one unique
Right.
hobby. So, I'm glad that you said that because that's absolutely true. It's about the people. So, if us as gamers, we share this unique hobby and that it took us so long to build. See, if you guys weren't from where we started, you're not going to realize that.
Right.
When we started this, gaming was basically a hobby, but it was looked at as a waste of time, as a joke. To a certain extent,
Right.
we were ostracized. We were alienated. We were looked at as nerds. Because now it's cool
Right.
to be a nerd, right?
Right.
Or we were looked at
Right.
as, in our parents' eyes,
Right.
because our parents were very religious focused during that time as well. For a lot of us, or at least I know for us here.
Worldly. We were worldly to go to the arcades.
Yeah.
Worldly.
They would look at us like, oh no, boy, you leave that alone. That's the devil's work, like it was something bad.
Right.
Same thing like
That's
comics.
the world. Don't get
know,
involved in that.
Yeah,
Don't have
yeah.
some crazy people down there. Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
It's nothing but sin, or promoting and giving you bad thoughts in your mind.
Right.
Matter of fact, it's gonna constrict you from learning in school and getting an education and evolving your mind.
Right.
All
Right.
types of stuff. So if you guys knew the hurdles and the demand and the conflicts that we had to deal with to build, right? Hey, what's going on, Tron? Thank you for stopping by. To build this culture, to make gaming relevant, to show the world that gaming is a place where it's full of artists, writers, stories, magical feeling, magical experiences, an escape for us that we have to deal with the everyday world that has all this horror and this evil and disappointment, right? You guys would understand that what made this broader was things like video game magazines, was things like Electric Playground on TV, or in this case E3. E3, we gathered there and we only saw it in magazines. So when we got our solicitations of those magazines, E3 already had passed like 2 months ago. We got it like 2 months later. So we were late to the game, but we were
Right.
looking forward to it. We would read these articles and express them and see what happened and get the joy. Like, man, what games are coming out? Whether they were arcade
Right.
games, whether they're computer games, whatever it
Right.
was. And we look forward to them. By the time we read some of the things, they showed a game, and that game was coming out just literally in a month. By the time we got the solicitations
Right.
of those magazines and read them, because that's how far and back we were with technology, which now most people are, we're spoiled because we have social media, and I think that's
Right.
part of the problem, because it makes it where we don't appreciate anything anymore, nothing, because everything's given to us in a plate in front of us for free. We don't
That's
have to
it.
work for it.
Right.
That's in
You know
movies
what I mean?
now too.
Oh yeah, same thing. Exactly,
Right.
exactly. They all coincide and fall in the same bracket. Absolutely, Rock. And to be honest, this is what I want to get into about what I think. The real reason why I think Sony's not showing up. Okay, I don't think Sony purposely not going, because it's been over 22 years that they've been consecutively there. I really think it's just a sign that Sony is basically in trouble. And they're trying to wedge their hedges, right? Or how they say that saying. I
Hedge
probably
their
said it
bets.
wrong. Yes, hedge their bets. Because if you they don't have nothing else to liquidate. They liquidated all their buildings, they liquidated all their businesses, they liquidated all their off menus. The only thing they have left is the movie industry division. But remember, in the movie division, they can share it with other movie divisions. So if they bring out a movie or a
Right.
project, they can get funded by 2 or 3. That's why when you see a movie from Sony, you'll say Sony, and then you'll see 3 other movie studios involved because they help
Yeah, you'll see
fund the
the
project.
names.
Right.
Yeah.
They help fund the project,
Right.
and then they split the cost. Obviously, Sony, if they own the property, get the bigger, the bigger the check or the bigger profit, right? I really think Sony doesn't have enough money to do E3 because their intake, wasn't enough, and they have to finish paying off for the last 4 games that they promised their fans that are really big. Because the other problem is they have a habit of using technology that's expensive for all their games, right? All their games are heavily mocap, right? All the games use movie style camera work and cutscenes and editing, right? And all that is very expensive. Mocapping, and they use a lot of actors with their voiceovers. That is very expensive. And in order for them to finish their games, I think they really had to cut a lot of corners and chop down as much as they could from their funds, with especially that they have a new guy taking care of the business over there. In order to finish, Days Gone, Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, and obviously the other one that they're making, Last of Us 2, because they're all big hitters.
Now, Hebot. Now, Hebot, think about it. Think about what you said, and then we'll let Erok jump in on this. Sony has been non-successful with a lot of their items for a very long time. They were doing good with the first PlayStation when it came out. It was a success, but it didn't sell a lot. That was the first key. It didn't sell a lot because when it came out midterm between the Dreamcast and Sega Saturn in an aspect way. It came out right around.
It came out after Saturn during the Christmas time, and it's
Nintendo.
so,
And what was it? Nintendo 64. It was right. It was in the mid cycles of in the middle part of those consoles. So it to say that it didn't sell right. It was garbage. No, that wasn't the case. The time that it was out, it sold well for them to make part 2, right? Well, part 2 was a galactic success.
Remember, it sold with time because there was no other competition. So it sold well, but with time, not right off the bat. Right? Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So, that it saw the PlayStation 2 sold very, very well because it was put together right at a moment that they seized with new innovation. That's the console that I've always will say Sony hit the jackpot with because they combined everything that was good about Sony. I'm not going to sit here and front and say I don't have nothing ever Sony I didn't buy. I just never been into the PlayStation, but Sony makes good surround sound speakers. They're good in sound and some good electronics. As a matter of fact, even today, they've rebounded off of some of their TVs, their 4K TVs. Some of them, one of them or two of them are like some of the best you can get right now. But the failures is what the subject is. Okay, you look at it after PlayStation 2, right? Sony struggled with PlayStation 3 because I keep trying to tell people Sony does good as long as the technology innovation remains the same. But what do you mean legal? What do you mean legal? Okay, PlayStation 2 was able to have the DVD player. It was able to expand on their CD-ROM. It was able to integrate media aspects within the console. All those things were good, right? Pushing gaming. It was making versatility in consoles, basically.
Plus, remember, they also had the advantage. One more thing, Dorian, not to cut you off.
Yes.
They had the advantage.
Go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, puppy? They also had the advantage that they were able to, that they had the audience that they gained with the PlayStation 1. So those people migrated over and followed them, obviously. But that DVD was just coming out. It was the big hot thing. That helped big time. I'm with you.
They seized on it, right? They seized on it. And ultimately that market, the graphics aspect too. So we already know that. We already know that. Shout outs to Pun Creek. We know these things. What I want to hit on is the fact that we see those things, but we don't see the struggle. The struggle happened once the innovation changed, right? Once the computer side of things wanted to carry on over and integrate with the consoles, now you got to come up with a different type of technology. When Xbox came out and made Live started the new technology run. Now you have an online service. Unlike PlayStation, they didn't have an online service. So now everybody flocked to Xbox and made Xbox succeed. Now, same thing happened to Xbox. Did the Xbox OG put up strong numbers? No. It came in a mid-cycle run. But it was enough to be successful to bring forth the 360. Now watch this. PlayStation 3 came out, right? A few years after the 360. Right? And what happened, no, maybe a couple of years, I'm sorry, not a few, but about 2 years out. 2 years strong, we would say. About a year and a half, maybe, they come on out. Okay. The technology changed because the 360 was more integrated. It not only had the Blu-ray player, or the CD player, I'm sorry, but it also could do music. You could burn your CDs. The media on it was up to date. It had 1080p. So you see what I'm saying? It had all these features on it. You actually
that were up and coming, fresh and new, even back then.
It was fresh, right? It was fresh and new. So now, you're sitting here like, man, wait a minute. Halo 2 came fresh right off of Halo 1, right? Which was an Apple game that came off of what? You guys, the PC. So for the fact that a game that was actually being created on PC was able to succeed like it did on console was huge.
Well,
you know
originally
what I'm saying? Halo was one of the first and the last of its kind.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when that happened, PlayStation was like, man, in order to compete, we got to figure out a way to just go straight hardcore.
Yes, it was.
And that's what they did. They went hardcore, like my man Heba said, with hardware. But see, Microsoft had a secret. It was called DirectX, and the Xbox 360 could use it. I think at the time it was DirectX 9, and these were the things that brought about Half-Life, The Witcher 2. Those games were able to come over to the Xbox because of it, because they used it in their games for the PC, right? So those games were able to, those PC developers were able to experience and put them on the 360 to see if they would sell or not. And once they started to sell, right then and there, the 360 became that console that could integrate, because it was the start of saying, hey, look, if you wanted to, you can make a good PC game, and if you try to come over here and work with us, we can get it over here on the console. Well, it may not run as well, but at least you can bring it to a broader audience, right? It's all about helping. It's all about community, right? It's all about the people. So on the 360, right, you see these games coming out like Crysis. There was a reason why Crysis and all those came out on the Xbox first. There was a reason for that, because of the integration, the new technology,
to some extent,
right?
they came out only too. Remember that some of those came out. Witcher 2 only came out to Xbox.
That's true. So now you got PlayStation scratching their head, because once they went so hard with that hardware, right? It's expensive. You got to understand, people, that it's money currency flip. I keep trying to tell people that also. You can't look at Sony's money strictly U.S. dollars. They're a Japanese market at the time. So anything that sells over here in the United States has to be flipped. It has to be flipped. You cannot count it as straight U.S. dollars. It's flipped. So we already know that the U.S. dollar is stronger than the yen, people. So when it converts over, because the United States, they want that export money. So they say, hey, man, we want that export money. You're going to flip it. We want our correct change, basically. We want our correct change. So once that happens, Sony's not going to make that money like you think it is. They got to come up with that correct change. And when that happened, people, the $699 hurt them. So now you got to look at it like this. They had to go back and remake. Think about it. They had to remake another console, a little bit smaller, but they did right by making it a little bit cheaper. But they had to take a lot of their integration out, that what made them great, and now they were lagging behind. So now that they had to shrink things, they had to take a massive hit. The PlayStation 4 comes out. They did the same thing for PlayStation 4. They came out heavy, which they did right. Don't get me wrong.
But remember, the PlayStation 4 was the first console they ever created with an actual American
Yes, because I
Programmer
was
and
going to get
developer
there,
hardware.
Chris. I was going to get there. The reason, right? Hebot is nailing it, because the reason why they did
Mark
that
Cerny.
was because, right? Because what people don't understand was, while they was in Japan, Erok and Hebot, they needed money. They actually needed money, and the Japanese government was funding money to Sony because there was a giant on the creek, and that giant was called Samsung.
Right,
The
right.
ghost of Sony was already happening. You go and you can read these articles. The people saw it happening. The people there, not us, because we were overseas.
Thank you,
We're
Strike.
not seeing it. We're thinking, oh, Sony is just on top. Sony's doing so
Their
well.
credit,
But the
their
people
credit
there
rating was downgraded to junk.
was junk. So now the the Japanese government is funding them, and Sony can't never make up the money. So Japanese government said, we're no longer funding you. We're no longer funding you. And what happened, people? This is why I'm telling y'all what happened. What ended up happening because of that was Sony had to come to America. There's
Right.
no more headquarters in Japan.
No, no.
This is a fact. Go
And
read
that's
up on it.
yeah.
There's no more headquarters, so they had to come to Santa Monica and make that their only headquarters. They
Okay.
had to do that, and then while doing that, hear me out. While doing that, they had to shut down and close a lot of stores around the world so that they can get money back into the projects.
Yeah.
And once they did that, y'all, they created PlayStation VR. They went and did PlayStation View. They did all this creation because they were
they invested
hoping
in Gaikai.
that somebody would bite on it. Exactly. They did all this massive buying up, hoping that the masses would bite on it. And what happened, people? The PlayStation View failed. PlayStation VR didn't sell like they wanted to. So they got all this stock. The VR, which was tied to the PlayStation Pro, failed as a unit sale. You know, they were trying to sell it together. It failed. What happened this year, y'all? We got notified that the PlayStation Vita failure. Shut everything down. So y'all gonna tell me that a successful company shuts their stuff down? No. Now they came out, and I'm about to end it. Now they finally came out and told us here recently that they are going to go into a 3-year financial debt, try to figure out how to
Reconstruction of the debt.
consolidate or whatever. Construction, construct their money and try to.
Right.
And so it adds up. Once we saw that, look what they said to this E3. We're trying to figure out ways that we can come up with solutions in our gaming field that will appease to our fans. There you go. I'm done.
Yeah.
Go ahead, E-Rock.
Yeah. Well, real quick.
It all makes sense.
Well, I'm glad that you broke that and you gave that whole tile of analysis, because regardless whether you guys agree with it being how you call it coincide with the topic, it really does, because this has been going on with Sony behind closed doors. And if you follow their stocks and their business, you'll see it. As a matter of fact, after they announced that they weren't going to E3, their stocks went down. Their shares, they went really down. I think by a lot. One of their biggest shareholders owns 44 million in shares, and they lost 85 cents per dollar, and I think that's a $33 million loss in their 44 million shares. So they only have 9 million now, or 8, something like that, or 10, something like that. So that's how big of a drastic thing it was. But it connects to get to E-Rock's point of view and his perspective.
Right.
Basically, what we're trying to say here, ladies and gentlemen, is that the reason for E3, right, for Sony not showing up, I don't think it's because they are being arrogant, and I'm not damage controlling for them. I'm just trying to be realistic and thinking like an adult about this, with what we've seen through the years with their company, is because they're really hurting right now. So they have to concentrate on those games, and plus to pay for R&D, for a new console, because they have to make a PS5 to continue from the success of PS4. It's a given. It's a lot of money. Microsoft spent over $3 billion in R&D and research and development just to make the new consoles. $1 billion just to do the mid-gen cycle console, which was the X. So if they're trying to go bigger and bolder, which that's what they need to do, obviously, to impress the audience the way Microsoft did, they have to really make sure that all their money is in the right place. Now, that's what I feel. And do that mean, and I really feel that they will show and a smaller event later down the road. Maybe perhaps they'll do a PSX or PS experience down the road to show the console and what they're working on. And I think that those games might be either cross-platform or maybe just straight up will only come out, with the exception of Days Gone, only for PS5 because they're trying to cut their corners. And especially if they're trying to integrate backwards compat, which is something that a lot of their fans have been asking. So, E-Rock, are you with me on this or are you not with me on this? What is your take? What do you think and you feel and you see from your professional perspective of what you've seen and your insight through the years of Sony and their practices and their business? Do you think this is a deliberate thing because they're being arrogant? Or do you think, I think that maybe they think by them doing it that people won't be mad. Maybe that is a part of them of being arrogant because they feel, oh, we're in a good spot, they won't be mad. But at the same token, I don't think they're really doing it because they're being arrogant. I think it's because they don't have the money. E-Rock, what do you think? What you tell me, brother. Are you with me or no?
Yeah, what you're saying sounds good. Can I be honest with both of you, Legal and Hebot?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep. Come on with it. Come on.
I really don't care, and I'll tell you why I don't care. If Sony never shows up to another, I'll tell you why I don't care. Because let's keep it 100. Like everybody calls us Xbots. Like my past 3 or 4 years in the community. Oh, you Xbot this, Xbot that.
Right.
You hate.
It's about to
hate
get
Sony.
real, people. It's about to get
And
real.
I'm like. We all in this room owned every Sony PlayStation. I owned every PlayStation except the PlayStation 4.
Right.
After PS3, I was just done with it. I was there. I bought a PlayStation 3 to a company to complement my Xbox 360. The Xbox 360 was my go-to game system. I bought the PlayStation 3 because of Blu-ray. I wanted to make the switch to Blu-ray, and I wanted Gran Turismo. That's what got me in. Gran Turismo
Well said,
and the God of War E3 2009 demo. But the wait for them games to come was interminable. I was like, holy shit.
It was almost the same on PS3 era. Yeah, you're right.
I had to wait forever for Killzone 2 to come out. And when it finally came out in February of 2009, that's how the fuck you know I had a PlayStation 3. Because I know when the fuck Killzone, who knows when Killzone 2 came out?
Yo,
February 2009.
We may have kids. We may have kids attending, right?
Oh, yeah, my bad. Yeah,
All right.
So
We want to get all of them.
Honey,
Grandma,
bring me the phone, please.
Grandmama's too. So Killzone 2 finally came out, and it wasn't what they promised at E3 2005, that movie that they showed. Gran Turismo 5 was all right. God of War 3 was good, but the demo was actually better than the actual game. And so it's like it was just like, you either part of that culture or you not. And that PlayStation cult, they have always been about graphics and about hype. Whereas the Xbox, I saw with the 360, even in the early Xbox days, it was about graphics plus gameplay.
Yeah.
I didn't have Xbox Live until 2007, and when I finally started going online with Xbox Live and playing it with my friends, I was like, wow, man, this is pretty dope. This is innovative here. You know, I can have my single player game fixed, but also if I want to join a couple of guys or Sea of Thieves and Gears of War, this system is built for that. So like we can sit all day and have an entire podcast and ponder and pontificate on why Sony isn't going to E3 and why this is a bad thing, but their audience will constantly defend this. This week, this month, these next couple of months, if Sony does not change their mind and go to E3 2019, you will see, New Legal, you will see, Dorian, what I've been saying forever about these cats. I've never in my life, as a gamer, seen a more brainwashed bunch of people. It's okay to like a brand. It's okay to like Marvel. It's okay to like Vanilla Ice Cream. It's okay to like the CW. It's okay to like DC. It's okay to like Xbox. But when you to a point Hey, I'm a DC guy, and I can
That's
admit
right.
some of
Right.
the DC movies have flaws. Not all of them. That's a bunch of
That's
bullshit.
right.
Right,
I
right,
can
right.
also
That's
admit that
right.
all of them damn Marvel movies ain't perfect. Well,
That's
I can
right.
also
That's
admit
right.
that Xbox has its issues, and I've seen
That's
you
right.
guys call out Xbox when they've had the
Right.
issues. These Sony guys
Yep.
don't never call out PlayStation. The media don't never. Okay, yeah, this latest thing with the crossplay, they kind of whined a little bit, but it wasn't the uproar that Xbox gets if they cancel a game.
Right.
These fools is still the Xbox haters is still talking about Scalebound 3 years later. Was that game?
Right.
That game was
Yeah.
canceled 2 years ago, and they still talking about Scalebound as if you was going to buy an Xbox ever based on one game. So it's like the mentality that we dealing with here goes beyond fans. It goes beyond fanboys. These guys, you got guys like Porter Rock going on Twitter with CPU analysis and well the CPU factory. Like, bro, I don't care about no CPU factory. Like, well, the recent stock reports say that, dude. Are you serious? Are you for real with this nonsense? These guys are in deep, bro. So that's what I mean by
Just
I
to
really
prove
don't
that they're
care,
not.
because I didn't mean to be disrespectful to the show. What I was saying, but I really don't care
E-Rock,
because
you
it don't,
just being
it don't,
yourself, man. You just being
it
yourself,
don't,
bro.
it don't matter what Sony do. The media and their fans is going to find some way to give them a free pass. Xbox could just go ahead and say, guys, you know what? From here on out, all of our exclusive games is free, and Xbox Live is only $10 a year, and people will
Man.
find a way to
Wait
throw
to still.
shade at them.
Yeah.
They will
You know
find a
what?
way
You know
to.
what? You're right. You know what? I want to say something on that right
Yeah.
now.
That's right.
Man, I tell you, E-Rock, man, you said something nasty, man. You said something powerful. You know what? And I believe we need to tag Aaron Greenberg, Phil Spencer to the show. Somebody on the Xbox corporate side's got to hear that. Because let me tell you
Yeah,
something right now. I don't know how many years Sony went with that free online. And a lot of y'all, casuals, bro, it's casuals all day over there, right? But a
oh yeah,
lot of them, the only reason they would not play the Xbox, and I'm here to tell y'all this, and I'm talking to Aaron, Phil, Mike Ibarra, Matt Booty, all of you guys, the whole Xbox team that we don't know. The main reason they didn't even touch an Xbox, they didn't even want to touch it, is because they had to reach in their pocket.
Oh yeah.
These
Yeah, people
fans
do
are
that,
not
yeah.
these fans are not the kind to reach in their pockets
Yeah.
in order
there was
to.
people
And
did
you
that,
want
yeah.
and look, right. And I'm not here to say that you do things because you want to grab people to gravitate over to your system. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you got to understand something. If your sales numbers is never as high as Sony's, right? When it comes to consoles, this has a lot to do with it. Now, it doesn't work now, does it? Look at the clues. Look at the clues E-Rock and he bought. Eventually, what happened? That price had to come. That 60 a year had to come. No longer does Live look stupid anymore.
Oh, well, they
So
didn't even acknowledge it. They
look,
just say,
Aaron
"Oh, well, if
Greenberg.
Xbox been
Look,
doing
Xbox
it,
team.
it's fine."
Right.
That's how they.
Well,
That's how they.
well, here's
How
the
they. Accepted it. In
it
other
was a
words.
sign of it was a sign of the times of what I was talking about, people. Sony needs money. You can
Yeah.
no longer say, look, we're upon this free internet service, because you got to understand something. They were hiding behind PSN with all PSN covers. Not it doesn't just cover Sony's PlayStation people. You get in the real tonight. It covers their TVs. It covers their computers when they had it, when the BIOS were out. It covered PlayStation. It covered their devices. So while their devices were successful, Striker, while their dividers were successful out there in Mixerland, Sony didn't have to rush on changing this. Do you think that they were going to sit there and let that stuff be free forever? No.
Well, it's the perception
And they
too.
right mind knew that. But what happened was they put too many rocks in the same basket.
They also, to be honest and to be fair too, they didn't have a choice not to put it free because Xbox was way ahead of the game anyway with Xbox Live. You know what I mean? And people were happy.
Well, the thing
with it.
is,
You know what I mean?
they had the shaky foundation on the gaming side because they didn't invest in it. It's not that the PSN has to be garbage, man. It's
Right.
simply like E-Rock. It's simply because they want it to be garbage. It's Sony's want it to be garbage because they don't. Because when they gambled on their other stuff. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is this, in a nutshell, and this is the what you call it, the wolf in sheep clothing, so to speak. Not in their wildest dreams did Sony think they would be right where they're at today, where they had to say everything failed that we created. Now we're banking everything on a gaming console. Do you
Right.
think Sony really that's where they really wanted to be 20
Well,
some years later
even the
to say
first
that?
play, but Dorian, even the
Think
first
about it, people.
PlayStation, even the first PlayStation, they didn't pay for the R&D of that. That was Nintendo. And the only thing was when the guy left, because
Exactly.
he was working behind their back without knowing, right? When the guy left, he had all the schematics,
You
all
gotta
the
read about
blueprints.
this.
He had all the blueprints, and he
right,
convinced,
right.
and they had they owned him. They took him down in position. They took him down from
Right.
that position he was, and put him in the music division. And he had to keep fighting with the executive,
Right.
the executive, to convince him. Look, this is free for us to just get in. All we have to do is patent a different name, change it, and put our name on it, and that's it. Because the work
That's
is done.
sure right, man.
The work is done, and this is how it
Right.
is. And they added a small 3D chip that they had,
And
I
it was
think,
easy to
silicone
them. It was
graphics
easy.
did for them, and that was it.
That's
It was
right.
a done deal, and that's how they got in. They didn't pay for the R&D of PlayStation 1.
They didn't pay
You know
for
what I
none
mean?
of
They
that.
just
Nah.
didn't, and a lot of people don't know that.
They juke Nintendo.
Yeah, it was
That's
going to be
right. They
called the
don't- but you gonna
Nintendo
know it tonight.
PlayStation. Even the name.
But, right,
It was going
but
to be
you're gonna
called
know
the
it tonight.
Nintendo PlayStation.
That's
Okay.
right. But you're
It's-
gonna learn something tonight.
Oh, well, that's the idea, right?
You know?
But talking
That's the
fairly,
point.
talking realistically. So I guess what I'm gathering from what you were saying, E-Rock, is you feel that even if they don't show up, you feel it'll be good for the industry as a whole because the bullshit, for lack of a better term, will kind of have to end and stop. They'll have to stop their methods and their ways, right? That's what I'm gathering. What you're feeling?
Oh no! Well, the bullshit is never going to stop. It's just.
Well, I mean, if they don't gain
Yeah.
ground, they got to change something. You know what I'm trying to say?
Who, Sony?
Yeah, if they don't
Listen,
gain ground,
they-
like meaning if they stay in the hole, they're gonna have to do something different, or if not, they're not gonna exist. No
Here's
more.
here's the perception.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the perception is that Sony is making all of this money, and yes, they're
Mm-hmm.
making a lot of gaming revenue off of the PlayStation 4,
Mm-hmm.
but that's basically their only real division right now. So
Right.
so like people like Porter Rock and Alex Escobar, they don't see that. All they see is that PlayStation
Pie
beating
charts.
Xbox. That's all that matters to them.
Mm-hmm,
That's all that matters to them. They can have their little console war. It don't matter that this company as a whole may not exist in 10 years.
They
Sony.
don't,
It-
they don't
that doesn't
understand the
matter.
particulars, how it actually works, right?
So if they don't make it to E3, there'll be podcasts telling everybody who will listen why this is a good thing, and Microsoft is living in the past by going to E3, and this E3 2019, Microsoft has an excellent opportunity to
oh yeah,
one show off this supposed diskless Xbox One, and they have an opportunity to just because next year all the Xbox's heavy hitters is coming out.
yeah.
That's how it works in this game cycle.
And
Nobody
we
wants to believe it.
understand it, right? And we get it,
Yeah.
right? We understand why you're saying it's a genius move, and it's because and you bring up the numbers. You can't get out of the console sales. Oh, we got 84, but you sound stupid on that because no, people, no. Sony did not sell 84 million consoles to your households. No, it went to
No
retail
shit,
because
right.
if it went in your households, they would not be skipping E3.
Plus, they don't
would
count-
not be talking about we're gonna.
Plus, they don't
It
count
does
what's
not
traded
count-
back in. You know how many consoles
That-
get traded back in all the
right.
time? A bunch.
You have to. Oh my goodness, man. So we're off that subject, right? Because it's too dumb to even. We're not even going to go down that lane to even explain that dumbness. If
basically-
you just don't know that, then you just don't know that. Okay.
Well,
You just
basically
don't know
we're
that.
just
By
we're
now,
just
if you
doing
don't
we're
that,
just speculating right now. What you think the reasoning for them not going? You're being very vocal about what you
we know
feel, and
why.
so was Eric.
We
Right.
know why. It's
Well, look. I mean,
Hebot. It's not when you're a student of the game, right? That's what I always say about anything. When you're a student of the game, there's only one thing that you're going to end up finding out. That's called truth. No matter what it is, if it's wrote down or spoken, then that means you can find the truth about it, whether it's going to stand or whether it's not going to stand.
right.
When
Well,
Sony's telling us, we're not telling people. Sony said this.
right.
Sony said this. When they sit there and they tell you, man, we're not. When they give reports, Erok and Hebot, there's documents that tell you what they make a year in and year out. There's only one console that turns revenue growth. That turns growth. The key word was growth.
Yeah,
Year in and year out, that's Xbox. The reason why you don't hear about it is because the gaming industry is against Microsoft. It's
Right.
not.
Yes.
They didn't start out on
Yes.
Microsoft. They started out on PlayStation. So
Well,
you have to
a big
understand
majority, right,
the
right.
situation,
That
and
are
you
there
can't
now.
get mad. See, we used to get mad because we got mad because we didn't understand. But I understand. That's why I say I get it. I understand why you guys want to push news about Sony, because you got Sony all in your houses. You're used to pushing on that pink little square button
Right,
and
they
the
never-
triangles and the hieroglyphics for your button. But here's what I tell you. I don't come from the era of the square button, the triangle button, the X button, and the circle button. I come from the era of press A, select
Yeah.
start, B buttons. There's a Y and an A. There's a Y button now, but I come from the A,
joystick.
B, X button. I know what it means when I hit B. That means back. I know what it means when I hit A. That means start. I know what it means when I hit X. That means select. You see what I'm saying? That means migrate.
Preaching.
I know what it means when I hit Y. That means to open up something, bro. That's gaming. That's gaming language. If you don't understand, I'll never forget the day when I touched that PlayStation controller, and immediately I said, "What the hell is this? What does this mean?" I had to learn it, and then I went and studied it. And Sony's always trying to act like they try to act like
they're hip or modern,
like
that,
reinventing stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, if you want to hear some funny stuff, go on the internet and go look up type in why on the PlayStation controller is the buttons X, square, triangle, and circle. Go look it up. Go look at what Sony said. It's hilarious.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? It's hilarious.
E-Rock, hold on, give me. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, it's hilarious. So the very fact that they wanted to make their console on the language different was very truth-telling about them as a company. Because think about it. Sony is a company of smoke and mirrors. They're smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, that with a lot of things.
Go ahead. Take the mic.
There's another thing that's very indicative. There's another thing that's indicative here. Okay, and E-Rock, you told me too, and legal, if it doesn't point in the same direction, right? Because everything points at the same direction. If it's everything pointing at the same direction, it's not coincidence anymore. You know what I mean? They canceled being at Gamescom. They didn't do a Paris Game Week. They canceled the PlayStation Experience. Said, well, we're canceling it because we don't have enough content and we don't want to overhype something for our fans, so we want to make sure that we have enough to deliver. But next year we'll have a strong year with games like Dreams and Days Gone. They said specifically.
Let me say something real quick. I'm sorry. Let me say something real quick.
Before I finish my train of thought, hold on.
Of course. Well, here it is, Chris. Of course you'll come out next year. When you got time to do it.
Right. They specifically said Days Gone and Dream, which they said specific names of titles, meaning that's probably the only two titles they got lined up for next year. Because, let's be real, if they're not going to be at E3, they're not going to announce any new games. The only other event they could announce a game probably be in Gamescom, which they probably more likely won't go. So they'll either do it at Paris Games Week or in a PlayStation Experience. So we're talking about December or October or September of the end of 2019. So PS5 won't be till 2020 more than likely. And those game releases won't be until 2020. So they're going to have, from all this time to then, a drought until 2020. Until the games start to come out, right? What's the difference now?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Now, how does
Right.
that not prove that there's something extremely wrong financially with the company? You see what I'm trying to say? And
Right.
Erok, you tell me,
It's not normal.
does the
Right.
proof not point to what I'm saying?
To the pudding. The truth.
Right.
The truth is in the pudding.
Well, Erok, what do you think?
I mean, it's kind of weird that like legal said. I mean, this has always been as long as I can think, as long as I can remember. And again, it's amazing to be on Twitter and to be on my YouTube channel and have these new accounts pop up of these PlayStation fans that just bought the console yesterday because they mommy bought them the console, and now they want to come to an Xbox channel and talk their shit. Like I remember E3 I remember E3 2000. The lies there. E3 2005. It's always been smoke and mirror with these guys. So I don't know why they
And
would
if you
cancel
know that I'm
out
doing something,
at
tell her,
E3
see if Danny can pick her
2018
up.
when they could clearly just make 5 or
And-
6 of their famous smoke and mirror videos.
Or if not, give me
Show them to
at least 20 minutes and I'll
cheap
be there.
audience. The audience eats it up,
If he does that.
and because they always believe that everything they see for PlayStation is real. Like
Right.
I've been telling folks
Right.
for almost 20 years with PlayStation, believe none of what you see and half of what you hear. But
Right.
these guys they eat it all up. But it could be simply a case that with Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn last year, that Sony may have just shot their wad. They blew their wad.
Right,
They blew
right.
their wad.
They don't have
And Microsoft,
they have to fund those
and
things too.
Microsoft, and Microsoft getting ready to lay it down because, as you know, next year is when Halo 6 and Gears is dropping. So Sony,
Well,
they
Crackdown,
may not have
Halo,
nothing.
Ori,
Yeah, Crackdown.
In the Night, and Battletoads. That's what we
Hold
know
on,
for sure.
Hebot. Hold on. Right.
And people will still say Xbox has no games. They'll still
Right.
talk that nonsense. So
That's okay. That's okay. But you know what? We're going to E3, baby.
Right.
We're going to E3. So
Yeah.
regardless if we don't have no games, we're seeing our no games.
Well, Nintendo
So
even
Microsoft
announced.
must be doing some magic.
Yeah. Oh,
Can I-
something's gonna.
you
Yeah,
know
they
what?
said we're gonna have lots to
I
show.
didn't.
Because it was funny. Because they announced.
I wanted to keep my mouth shut. I wanted to, y'all, but it's just hard. You know what I'm saying? Yo, E-Rock said something. It's always been there, right? But when the proof is in the pudding, when you don't show, right? You didn't come to E3. So now we don't even have to speculate. There's no speculation.
Yeah.
See, you
You
can't
There's no room
can't
for
make that
conversation.
up.
There's no room for
right.
conversation.
There's nothing you can do. Right. And when I deal with Sony, that's how I deal with them. That's what I talk about. I go off what I see. When
Yeah.
I start seeing those facts hit, that's when I talk. I don't talk that rumor crap with Sony because that's what they want you to do. Sony don't have nothing coming that's new because they don't create it, people. They don't
Right.
create software. So you can so you thinking that PlayStation 5 is going to be more powerful than Xbox? The new legal today on We Got NeXt episode 1.1 is here to tell you you have went nut crazy. It's over. The
Well,
days of you
Phil was
thinking
very
that you
clear
have the
about
most
that.
powerful console is done. Yes.
Phil
And
was
let me
clear
tell
about
y'all something. Remember? Right. Do you remember? Go back to what E-Rock was saying about the smoke and mirrors. Notice, why come, it was beautiful that he said this. Why come, Sony, did you not just give your fans trailers? Give them trailers again. Don't give them something, right? But I could at least laugh. Give me something to laugh at.